Hello everybody, welcome to the Mighty Glue Stick channel. I am AJ, or more specifically, I am AJ's hands. Hello. This is a latex rubber glove because I'm going to be doing some painting today. I also use this for gluing with epoxy and things occasionally if I really don't want to have my fingers stuck together. Right, so today I'm going to be painting up the Couture Shrine Cavern tile and also the crystal rock formations that I made in my last video. So you will need the things that you're going to paint. This is just a plastic painting palette because I'm not going to be doing any wet blend painting today with my wet palette. Black and white paint, just ordinary student acrylics. I think these cost me $2.50 a pop. Some glitter paint. No! Some green paint. Okay. And of course, cheap throwaway brushes because this is going to get rather rough. Usually I would use a bigger brush even than this, but it's currently down in the garage and I can't be bothered. Right, so I'm going to start with black. With most of my painting, I like to start with a highlighting wash first. For example, I'll get a bones miniature like this, and then I will apply a wash to it to get all of the nooks and crannies and details. That just means that it's a lot easier for me to go over with a base coat later on without having to worry about any spots that I've missed. And it's a lot easier on your brushes if you don't have to dig into those little detailed bits. Okay, so quite a generous blob of black paint. This is why I use cheap black paint. You'll see in a minute. Liberally coat your brush and apply en masse. That's why I use a much bigger brush, because I'm covering a much bigger surface area. Now bear in mind that paint is wet, cardboard is dry, cardboard warps under the application of wet paint. It's just a fact of life. Get used to it. One thing that you can do is basically try and dry your paint as quickly as possible. This would include leaving a relatively, just do it in one coat really, and do it quickly. This is a Cavern tile. You don't have to be overly precise or careful about it, particularly with this black coat. As you'll see in a minute, I'm mainly just concentrating on getting all, so I'll come keeping camera, concentrating on all the nooks and crannies, and if you watch carefully you'll see that bits of polystyrene are literally falling off this thing as I paint it. This is okay, this is to be expected. The act of painting it seals that polystyrene and stops it from breaking off as much as it would. So also another effort to avoid soaking the cardboard too much is I just apply straight paint, I don't water it down at all. Da, da, da. Unfortunately, I'm not really very skilled at editing videos together, so if anybody has any suggestions on how you would time-lapse or speed up this process so that I could show you all of this in like 5 seconds, that'd be great. But in the meantime, I'll tell you a story. Tales of yore. Or perhaps describe a scenario or something like that. Actually, let me know in the comment section below what sort of stories you'd like me to tell about my gaming history. Why I got interested in monsters, how I started crafting. Oh, that's a good one. I'll tell you why I'm pretty good at sculpture, why sculpture is a part of my life. Back when I was a kid, I had a few toys. I can't say that I was an underprivileged child. I had a pretty good life. Grew up on a farm, moved into town, had lots of older brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest one of my family, so I had lots of hand-me-down toys and things. and I had a couple of action figures that I really liked. One was a tank transformer toy, and the other one was some characters from the old Battlestar Galactica TV show. Not the latest one, obviously, the original one. I had one of the little fly people that took people captive. That was great. And yeah, bits and pieces. But I didn't have a whole slew of toys, really. So what I did was I had a ball of plasticine, and I learned how to make plasticine into action figures. So I would sculpt away, and I got really good at making a very quick humanoid shaped figure that could stand up on its feet. But I found that making swords and armor and shields and things for my soldiers out of plasticine wasn't very effective, because it just didn't have the consistency that was required for an action figure. So I ended up getting this bakeable plastic polymer clay stuff called Fimo, and I made a few experimental little sculptures with that, and then I proceeded to create an armory of every type of weapon and armor and things like that I could think of, including fantastical ones. And that became my hobby, really, was making that sort of stuff. And in the end I ended up with quite a considerable plastic bag full of these things. So there's a way you gotta be not too nice with that brush. Oh, why would you do this to me? Because you're a cheap Chinese mass-produced brush, that's why. I don't care. I'll probably throw you out after this is over. Yeah, so that's how I got into the habit of sculpting almost every day. And it's like any other art form. If you say that, oh, I'm no good at drawing, well, that's because you don't draw. Nobody starts off born good at drawing. It's practice. Practice is the only thing that makes you good. And that just involves getting up and doing it. If you have any desire to do it, just do it. Like Shia LaBeouf style, man, just do it. So I was driven by a need to have, toy armies to play with. And the fact that it was a talent that I seemed to have that was appreciated by other people. And in school, we got a new art teacher. We had an original art teacher, an old Dutch guy, who really loved making us draw things from the curriculum. So he would have us drawing portraits of pumpkins that he'd grown in his garden. Really, he taught us the basics of art techniques, but there was no passion in there at all. He wasn't interested in what we had to express or say. I mean, credit to the guy, he did his job admirably for many years, but it was a job for him. He was an artist himself, so perhaps he judged others a little too harshly. And he wasn't really interested in my cartoons or fantastical drawings. And so from him, I guess, I got the impression that drawing was the be-all and end-all of art, and that the sculpture that I did was just a thing. It wasn't really artistic expression per se. Of course, nowadays we know that's not true. Sculpture really was my abiding passion, and a talent that I would carry on for the rest of my life. Anyway, we got this new teacher, Janet. She was young, pretty fresh out of teaching school, I guess, and she was pretty passionate about her job. She really cared, and it showed. And I guess budget consideration forced her to ask the question of the class what we wanted to concentrate on. How many people, put your hands up, want to do sculpture, clay work? Because predominantly schools work in fireable clay. I don't know why. It's much better things to work with. And I put my hand up for sculpture, and I was the only one. And she couldn't very well deny me access to anything because I was a minority. So I got pretty much unrestricted access to all of the sculpture supplies. and I went nuts. I filled up shelves with sculpture, clay sculptures, and I haven't worked with clay since, honestly. It's a terrible medium. Not very forgiving. But yeah, at the end of the year I proved my worth. I had to do some drawings, of course, so I did some artwork as well, some traditional artwork with drawings and batik and pencil and line drawings, pastels, crayons, melted wax, you name it. I wasn't shy of any of the artistic techniques, and I can bust them out if I need to. I do have a fairly good collection of art supplies, because when people know that you do art, that becomes their go-to Christmas present as art supplies. And you know what? I never say no. It's like, what's this, a calligraphy set? Sure, thanks man. Just, you know, don't ask me 6 months down the line whether I've done any calligraphy. And Dad, if you're watching, I have used that Dremel. I have many plans for that Dremel. Do not feel that that Dremel purchase was in vain. Every man needs a Dremel. They're fantastic. But I can't use a Dremel on polystyrene, can I? That would be ridiculous. I'd end up with a snowstorm of plastic in my room. So, yeah. Enter all the nooks and crannies. Paint up my my pasta. My pasta slumped a little bit, so it went a little bit too far over onto this ledge here, but that's okay. That's just one of those nitpicky things that artists get obsessed over, and I'm not going to get obsessed over it. The act of trying to fix it would break it, so I'm not going to bother. But yeah, sometimes accidents are not so happy accidents. Sometimes they're okay. Nobody will notice. Grand scheme of things. It's one of the things that you do as an artist. You obsess over little things that nobody else notices. Sometimes you just got to let it go. This is one of the reasons why I don't generally draw tattoos for people, because the idea of drawing something that I see as imperfect, which is then tattooed indelibly on somebody's skin for the rest of their life, horrifies me. I could probably do it for a stranger, but not a friend. So please, don't ask. Get a tattoo artist to draw it for you. That's what they do for a living. Alright, I've run out of black paint, so let me get some more. Blurb. On that last crystal structure video that I did, YouTube nabbed me for using, I had some music playing in the background the day the earth stood still, and apparently it's somebody wants to make money off it, so I had to remove it from my video. So YouTube, if you're listening, from now on I'm going to use Audacity to change the pitch of all of the music that I put on my videos, so your algorithms will not be able to catch them anymore. Fuck you. That's all I'm going to say on it. Since it's not actually people that are checking it, it's just computer programs, I have no problem with cheating you out of your ill-gotten gains. You have no right to claim my intellectual property as your own for a piece of music that was... Oh, when did the Day the Earth Stood come? That was like 1950s, that movie? Come on. Come on. It's not like I'm posting the entire latest Katy Perry video on my channel. It's ridiculous. I mean, I could have been listening to that on a radio or something. But That's the thing you get when you monetize your videos. Not that I actually make any money out of these videos. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? What a great job. What do you do for a living? Broadcast craft person. Oh. So the end of my brush just completely came off. Dear China, if you're going to make all of these products, please make them actually last, because they use just as many resources as good quality products. It's called environmental ethics. Just supporting the top of this thinner statue thingy here, because it's got a bit of structural weakness there. I don't really want to break it, but I need to get that black paint into that crevice. There we go. Of course, I'm going to go over this afterwards with a grey, swirly grey. So I covered it in black first, so I got all of the details. My contrast layer. It's not necessarily a base coat per se. It's a shade coat. It's a shadow coat. Yeah, YouTube and its algorithms. There's a lot of YouTube content providers who have had a lot of problems with the overzealous. It's not really even intellectual property copyright protection. It's all based on scalping, really. So you've got a piece of been people who have produced games reviews and things like that, and they've posted a little segment of the game which is under the fair use, it's actual law, fair use law, where if you're talking about something you can post an example of it, as long as it's not the entire game or the entire game content or something. I mean, you can't play the game through a promotional video, and yet overzealous companies, or the algorithm, has spotted bits of their game. It's found, you know, these frequencies match up, this matches our content, so it then lodges a claim with YouTube automatically. So with computers, no people are actually involved. YouTube then suspends your video, demonetizes it immediately, so you know, all the people who are currently watching it, you don't get any revenue from them. And then what you have to do is you have to lodge a claim with the people who you have to basically contend that what they're saying is not true, that it's not actually a copyright infringement. But of course, as YouTube is a privately owned website, and some could say service, they don't really have to abide completely by copyright laws themselves. Like, they can be as harsh or as fair as they want to be. It is their right to just delete your video for no reason. Of course, you might sue them if you really were that obsessed about it, but you would lose. But the fact is that these computer algorithms that YouTube has put in place are basically there because of overzealous, greedy companies trying to make revenue any way they can. So here's the YouTube content providers who are basically providing free content, free traffic, free customer awareness of their products or whatever, and they're being penalized for it by companies coming in and saying, no, that's ours. we're going to take any revenue that you have from this effort that you went to promote our own game, or the song that you put on there, this segment of the song, this background song, which has nothing to do with the content that you're providing. And it sucks. So I guess there's Vimeo and various other YouTube emulator sites, if you weren't that way inclined. But in my case, since the only thing I really do is add musical tracks to the back of my videos, I will just change them so that the algorithms can't find them anymore. So if you ever hear a track and go, well, that sounds familiar, probably is the song that you were thinking of, but the pitch will be changed, it'll have some reverb added to it, be a little bit slower, a little bit faster. It's not because I don't like the song, it's because I don't like greedy companies stealing my videos. It's bad enough that there's advertising and stuff on there, whether I like it or not. One day when I'm a big channel, maybe, if I ever do become a big channel, it might be more of an issue. They might pay closer attention, but yeah, just change the pitch of your sound using Audacity or something like that, and YouTube will no longer be able to detect it, because people don't actually do it, computer programs do, and they're very precise. Just change it by one key or something like that, and they won't be able to find it anymore. Anyway, next topic. I'm sick and tired of talking about that. I'm sure you're sick of listening to it. So, it's looking pretty good. Quite happy with it. Just going through and making sure there's no glaringly missed white bits there. A couple bits that I can't really get the brush into, that's okay. Now I am fairly rough, like I'm just shoving the brush in there. That also has the added effect of breaking off loose bits and securing them. So yeah, it looks like a very interesting stone shape there, you know, pancake rocks. You can really see the contrasting details there now. Silence as I concentrate on the detailed bits. Oh, that's right, I'm supposed to do a Russian accent. I'm not very good at Russian accents. But I will give it the best go. Need to apply your paints very carefully over the entire surface, making sure that no spaces are missed. How's that? Is that good? Great an Australian accent. Once you've finished applying the paint over the entire surface, you can then move on to the next stage, which is mixing some white and black paint together to form a stony grey texture. Beauty. Okay, so that's all black. I don't need to wait for it to dry. It mostly is already. As you can see, you do get a lot of paint all over your hands. Pretty much almost equal amounts. Thickly apply? Yeah, I think so. Okay. There we go. Now I'm just brushing it. Oh, you can't even see that. I'm just brushing it onto the surface like this and dabbing. Which brings out all those highlights. You know, all those shadows are thickly contrasted. So in this case, it is kind of wet blended because the paint on the model is not fully dry. It's okay if you get real white highlights and things. It's all right. The stone texture is not uniform. Bit more highlight on the top of the tiki. Try to smooth this up a bit. On the top of the tiki. So we want to see those features of the eyes and things. Yeah, there are some amazing terrain artists around. I mean, no joke, they're mind-bogglingly good. I think one of the best terrain artists that I can think of is Terrainscapes. That guy is an artist. He works on commission, so you can actually purchase his work, and he puts passion into what he does. He did a coastal terrain piece waves, rocky cliffs, the works, absolutely amazing, and the amount of effort that he put into the gradient of the water and the details on the waves, foam and everything. It's incredible. Absolutely inspiring. After he was finished, he had a glass of champagne, had a chat about it with his wife. As I work, I'm mixing more white, less black, into the paint. I'm concentrating on striking white across the surface's edge. I try not to get it into the nooks and crannies where I put all that black paint, otherwise it would largely be a waste of time. Alright. Pretty good. Sorry, it's way out of your view, I know. But it's just the angle. Okay. Now, next step, I'm going to use the same brush. Here's my old butter chicken jar. So we've got some water in it. Dry this brush off with a rag. See what I mean about the brush falling apart? Green. What's this called? Sap Green. I've never seen sap that looks like that. Sap's usually white or clear, unless they're talking about saplings. Alright, so I'm going to apply the sap green directly to this. I have no idea what it's going to look like. But the idea is it's like a jade statue. Oh, it's not too bad. Or if not jade, grimy and covered in algae. Perhaps too crudely daubed with some sort of pigment. Slopped over it. Like goblins or couture or troglodytes or whatever other foul underdark race worships this primeval figure. working on the fungus. And a bit more on the face. I just realised it looks a bit like a creeper from Minecraft. That was another thing I got hauled up on. I did a little creeper miniature on Etsy, and whatever company Mojang hires to protect its IP came after me and said, you can't sell that. I was like, oh, okay. So I took it down and said, well, if you're that worried about what I make, why don't you give me a job? I can make things for you. And they're like, oh, well, you get a little bit, zealous in what we're going after. We don't know whether you're a big company or a small company, whether you're mass producing it or that's just a one-off. And occasionally artists get caught in the catch net, they said. And I said, have a nice day. And we went and parted ways amicably, and that was it. But yeah, just an example of how creative people can run afoul of corporations. In that case, I guess it was somebody who was just put in a search for creeper, and my two little figurines popped up. Alright, so there we go. I'll just move you, if you don't mind. And here's the shrine. Pretty good. I like that green. It really makes it pop. Makes it very obvious what it is. Alright. Put that one aside. That's going to take a few hours to dry. Next up, essentially exactly the same process. So I'm just going to show you what I do with crystals. I don't have a number of green crystals, so I'm just going to use my existing paint here, my Sap Green, and apply it. Put it on fairly thick. And you'd be saying, AJ, I thought you said you applied it thick down the bottom and sparingly at the top. You're right, I did say that. Why are you applying a thick coat across the entire thing? Well, it's because of what I'm going to do next. Impatient imaginary voice. Okay. So I call that a rocky green. It's not bad actually, I quite like it. Because it's mixed a little bit with the grey. So now take straight green, Sap Green, and just across the top, 2/3 of the crystal. There we go. And a little bit of pure white. mix it in, top half, or top 1/3 of the crystal. Blendy, blendy, blend. And 90% white. Actually, maybe a little bit less than 90%. Oh crap, I've got some black in it. I'll look me some cheap paints. He said with his brush in his mouth. Okay, very white. Just along the edges. Crystal! Nice. Done. Alright folks, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to carry on and continue painting these little bits here. And yeah, thanks for watching. That's how I paint, construct, put together the Cavern terrain. And yeah, feel free to post examples of what you do, any videos that you have of your crafting in action. Put a link in the comment section below, please. And yeah, if you've got any questions about what I do, comment section. I'm very keen on the comment section. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.